Hi folks, this is a quick response to a video I saw. It's called Bitcoin Was Never Meant to Be Small with Kurt Walker Jr. on Gavin Meal's podcast. Really good. The best part I think at the end was Kurt saying that Twitch nearly got adopted for Twitter to do transactions and to be able to monetize Twitter. Now, one of the most dramatic things I've seen lately, I think it was on the Bitcoin Association website somewhere, was that Bitcoin, because, that's BSV, because the transactions cost, say, 100,000th of a cent, it means that you can, and it said on this website, you can monetize by the second attention. Now that means that you can reward a person for the number of eyeballs on their post, reward them for that. So all of a sudden we've got real movement in rewarding people for quality posts and people being very happy to give a little bit of reward to the stuff they like. It'll transform the internet. I'll tell you a little story and why I bothered to make this video. In the 90s I was working in Toronto as a technical writer, and a friend, Tony Iacovino, rang me up and said, "Oh, I've got a contract for you. It's at the Financial Times. They want to get their listing. They've got a catalogue of customers," something like that, "and they want to reformat it." So I said, "Yeah, sure. How long will it be?" And it's only a 7-day contract. All right, then, 2 of us, 7 days. Anyway, we turned up, got the contract, and we were laboriously, manually going through this huge book of customers. And I happen to have known about Macro Express, which is a little macro building thing, and I knew from experience that we could do this thing fast. I knew it would cut down the time, and of course we wouldn't get paid so much. But anyway, I felt obligation to the customer that I said, "Hey, Tony, we could cut this drastically if we use Macro Express." And we spoke with the people who were employing us, and they said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "Let's do it in parallel. Let's let me work on a sample of it, just to prove that it can be done." They said, "Oh, all right then." Now, to cut a long story short, we cut the contract down from 7 days to 2 days. That was because we did it in parallel. There was no risk to the customer. It was done on their site. Now, the point I'm making is, BSV, you can beg and plead with people as much as you like, and you say it's great. But the real thing that will make the change is where it makes an economic difference to somebody in a competitive way. Now, Kurt, you've done martial arts. I've done a tiny bit of it. So you might have a little bit of that fighter instinct competing. So what I'm saying is, I think we need to look at potential customers and say, look, here's a no-risk, parallel way of doing stuff to the way that you're doing it now, and we think that it can revolutionize it. Now, you can keep your existing process going fine, but on the side, we can be quietly watching exactly the same thing done by BSV. Or we can have a little segment of your operation working with the BSV openly and telling people we're doing it this way, and it will be much faster. Or it will introduce a new service that pay for attention by the second principle, and we'll see how people like it. Remember, Amazon suggested a long time ago that they have a premium service for urgent delivery, and they said, "Oh, nobody'd go for that," but they did. They jumped on it and they preferred that service much better. So I guess the final question I've got is, can BSV in fact scale up the way we're talking about? I know we've proved that it can go 1 million per second, but Kurt said that the security guys wanted to be more sure about whether it could scale up in that way, and I respect that, same as Kurt does. But so before you do that, we'd better clarify that. But it has been going on for a long time, and again, if it's done on the side as a parallel sort of an operation to compare with the real thing that's going on now, and it way beats the old way, and of course beats the competition outside of the company, that is what's going to make the difference. So that's my little idea. I think we look around. There's so much talk about theory and so on. I think it's time to start knocking on doors of business people and say, "I've got an idea for you, and it's very safe, You can do it in parallel with your existing operation, but I think it'll thrash your competition. So, I mean, just to finish off, I was one of the first people to use an electronic calculator in 1973, and in my classroom, everybody was using slide rules except for me and another buddy of mine. He had a Busicom 162 calculator as well. There was no fanfare, trumpets coming out of the sky when we used those. It was just way, way better. And I think BSV, according to what I've heard over the last year or two, can do things way, way better and have a competitive advantage to whoever who wants to take it on. So I think there needs to be, from my perspective, much more approach to business itself, offering a safe option to just compare, so you get excited, just like Financial Times. They got excited doing a thing instead of 7 days, they did it in 2 days, and using a macro. BSV can do the same sort of thing. All right, good luck with it. It was great to see the video. Bye for now.